Hi guys, it's Kate here for a book tag. I am going to be doing the wine book tag, and the original video is by Boho Bookworm, and I will link that down below. I was tagged by the lovely Emily Kate, and thank you, Emily, for tagging me. I am really excited to do this tag. So let's just get right into the books. The first question is box wine. A book people will judge you for liking, but you like it anyway. And I thought about this, and I think I would like to pick A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. I know I've heard lots of people talk about the Diviners, and maybe it's just that A Great and Terrible Beauty, the trilogy, was popular before book 2 was really a big thing. And it's about a girl named Gemma who goes to a boarding school in Victorian England and finds out while she's there that she has magical powers, and a couple of her friends at the school do too, and they can enter the realm and do different crazy things. And there's, of course, you know, an evil villain from this realm, and just crazy things start happening at their school. So the cover, as you can see from the picture, is a girl wearing a corset. So it just doesn't look like something maybe a grown-up would like to read, but I really enjoyed it. Number 2, an organic wine, book that doesn't have any added crap and is written perfectly. And that absolutely has to go to The Narrow Corner by W. Somerset Maugham. And it is about Dr. Saunders, and he's traveling kind of island hopping almost in the South Pacific. He finds out about an urgent reason that he needs to go home, and so he's kind of in a hurry to get home. So he meets these two men who are running a ship, and it's Captain Nichols and Fred Blake, and they seem somewhat unsavory, but he really wants to get home, so he accepts passage with them. And so it's just how his life is kind of altered from accepting passage with these two men. I read this book 4 years ago, and it has still stuck with me. I can't tell you, I had such a book hangover after reading this. This so far I think is my favorite Maugham, and it's not as popular, so hopefully maybe someone will be encouraged to read this after watching this video. Question 4 is Sauvignon Blanc, a sharp and aggressive read you couldn't put down. And that definitely goes to The Secret House of Death by Ruth Rendell. Whenever I'm recommending a mystery to anyone, this is the one that I recommend. And it was such a gripping read. It's this tale of two lovers that are found, they have committed suicide, both of them. They made a lover's pact, and this woman had allegedly been having an affair, but then sort of the details aren't lining up, and it seems maybe things have been a little misunderstood from what her husband has been telling everyone. And it's really, really intense, and I was on the edge of my seat while I was reading it. Question 4, I'll try to say this right, Gluehwein, a really spicy, wintry read. And that has to go to My Cousin Rachel by Daphne DuMaurier. I read this last year in January, and it was the perfect January read. It is intense, and it's about this Philip who inherits an estate and hears different tales of his cousin Rachel that seems sinister. But then when he meets her, she seems like a really kind and warm person, and just different crazy things start to happen while she's there. So is she good? Is she bad? Is she misunderstood? Does she not even understand herself? This was such a gripping read, and it was so perfect for January. Question 5 is Pinot Noir, book you didn't expect much from but ended up getting blown away by. And I would say that goes to The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly. So this is kind of historical fiction, a little bit of romance, some suspense, and some thriller even in there. And it's just about the life of this girl, Fiona, and different events that are happening in Victorian England, and the ways that she tries to help her family, and it's really a thrilling read. Next, question 6. Chardonnay, a good summer read that was super zesty. And I would say The Doomsday Book by Connie Willis. And this is somewhat of a science fiction, a little bit of fantasy, and it starts out in modern day England, but a few years ahead, maybe 100 years ahead of where we are now. And the common cold has been cured. But because of this, people don't have immune systems. And so someone ends up getting a cold, and then people are like dying from the cold. It's like a really strong flu to them. So there's all of this chaos happening, this epidemic, and at the same time, a couple days before that happened, there is a time traveling agency that sent one of their time travelers to the Middle Ages and to do research, and she ends up, they did the calculations off by 100 years, and she gets sent there when the bubonic plague is happening. And so there's all this craziness, you know, she has a set date she's supposed to meet them and come back, and there's all this chaos happening in modern day London with this epidemic that's happening. So it's a really thrilling read. And question 7 is Rose, a book that has a little bit of everything. And that definitely gets awarded to Giant by Edna Ferber. This is the tale of sort of one of the Benedicts. It's this big, well-to-do family, kind of oil tycoons in Texas. It's the story of Benedict and his marriage. And he ends up marrying a woman from Vermont who has never, ever left Vermont. And so she comes all the way across the country to marry him, and has a lot of culture shock. And her name is Leslie, and she is a feisty woman who's not going to be stomped around on. And so there's that, and then a lot you hear about the cattle farm that they have, and there's stuff about prejudice in here. And there's also a rival for Leslie's affections, this man who just falls absolutely head over heels in love with her. And it is a wonderful book. It's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Question 8 is Shiraz, a full-bodied book that's dark and juicy. And this has to go to Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. This book was more appreciated on BookTube. It's the story of Pip and his journey from rags to riches. And in this story, a big part of it is the very mysterious, morbid, just depressed and messed up Miss Havisham and her daughter, who she is raising for her purposes, Estella. And this is such a gritty and dark book, and I love it because it's the tale of Pip being humbled and really growing up a lot and learning about the world and people and what motivates them. And I love this book. It's my favorite Dickens thus far. And the next question is Merlot, a smooth, easy read with a soft finish. And I had to choose Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson. This is such a fun book about Miss Pettigrew, who's a nanny hired through a temp agency, and from a miscommunication that happens, comes to a house that has no children, but a woman who acts like a child and whose life is in shambles. And she has 3 men vying for her affections, and she has no idea how to choose which one to be with, and her house is a wreck. And it's just about Miss Pettigrew making her life better. And then the last question is Champagne, your favorite book. And so I, of course, could never just pick a favorite. I would have to do a small list, but I'll show you 2 of my very favorites. And the first is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. And I absolutely adore this book. And this is a great book. It's such a fun story. It's laugh out loud funny. And the writing is so beautiful. I love this book. It's definitely one of my favorites. And the next is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've talked about this book a lot because I love it so much, and the main reason why I love it is Molly, the protagonist, and in the beginning of the book, she is about to be a young lady. She's, you know, growing into her adulthood, and her father, like any good Victorian father, wants her to have kind of a moral compass, and so he hastily marries a woman who he does not know that well, and also gains a stepdaughter, Cynthia, from that, and the different events that take place in their household because of those women, and it's all about their relationships with each other, the decisions people make, secrets, lies, and it is a wonderful book. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun filming it. Thank you, Emily Kate, for tagging me. And I would like to tag Novel Nomad. I just found her channel and I absolutely love it. And I would also like to tag the Bookish Princess. And she doesn't do book tag videos really, but hopefully maybe she would do this because I really like whenever she talks about books. She's just really great about talking about them and being convincing that you should read the ones that she likes. And I would also like to tag Ange from Beyond the Pages because I don't see as many tags from her, but I think this is one that she would enjoy doing. So I hope you guys are having a lovely day, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye bye.